All right. We are back. We are live, and you are listening to Beyond Sight and Sound. Last week, I'll tell you what, great show, and I had neglected to mention a bit of oversight on my part. I had wanted to make sure and personally put out a very special thanks to Charles Stafford of CS Relics. When we were looking into doing a show on the dais, Charles Stafford said, you know, this is the guy you want to talk to. You need to track down this guy. And, we did some poking around. He got us in contact with some people. And next thing you know, there's Mo. So, certainly couldn't complain. Mo was a great guest. A lot of good information on that machine. And we've had a number of archive hits on that too. So the stats show that the show on the dais about the equipment, stuff like that, the listeners do really like that. And we'll wind up doing more along those lines in the future as well as tonight. But to get on to everything else, first off, I guess, like I said, I am the host, but let's get the co-host in here. How's it going, Kenny?
Man, it's going. I'm just glad we're back. It doesn't seem like it's been a week since the last show. I haven't been out very much this week. We've been trying to take care of a little business around here, but I did get out because it's warming up. The water temperature warmed up here, and I caught a big mess of crappie today, and that made me happy.
Oh, there you go. Now, I'm looking, and I'm going, hey, it's warming up here in Ohio, too. I was actually out digging over the weekend, and I'm looking at the water from a different perspective. I'm going, hey, it's warming up. Won't be much longer. I'll be in the water, but I'll be hunting. Not fishing. Well, fishing for coins and relics and jewelry, maybe. But that's the way it goes. And I'll tell you what, speaking of out hunting this last weekend, I had put up a video of, a couple of silver coins, an antique gaslight valve, all that. Last night, I'm sitting here doing stuff on the computer for the show tonight, stuff like that, and I've got Detect America's T&L up in the background, ready to roll as soon as they start. And I'm doing all this stuff, and next thing you know, I hear their music roll, and then things kind of go quiet. And I didn't give it much thought then. But then I start to hear more music that's familiar to me. And it sounds like the intro music for my videos. I'm going, where is that coming from? I'm looking all over the place. I'm thinking my computer has just went completely haywire. Then I start hearing myself talking. What is going on? And then I realize it's my latest video on Detect America T&L.
Nice.
So once the realization set in and the confusion went away, I got a good laugh out of it. That was, they're keeping me on my toes there.
There you go. There you go, man. Yeah, last week's show was a blast. I love that machine. I thought we got a lot of info. But it's like a lot of machines. That machine, especially that Deus machine, and the one, we're going to go over another unique machine tonight. And you just have to study what you're using. That's what you have to do. I mean, if you go out with a AT Pro for your first day, but you've been using whatever else for 5 years, guess what? You're going to say, well, this AT Pro, man, I just can't figure this thing out.
Right. You're a little out of your element.
Or the Deus or the Racer or whatever it is. Go spend some time with it. And it's got its own version of deciphering what the ground has in it. Just have to listen for it.
Exactly. And that's all it's about is getting that time in with the machine. And last week we even we had the giveaway with Rob's book, Metal Detecting Hidden Places. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to read your copy yet, but it's got some good information in it. Great guy to talk to. But along with metal detecting in hidden places and having to know what your machine is saying, this week we've been in communications for a while, been waiting for the information to come out, been waiting for the guest to get some time out in the field with it. And when you're talking about machines and talking about them from the user perspective, how they perform, you're not going to get any better bench test or, say, a test garden than the outdoor environment, testing it out there in the field where it matters.
Correct.
And our guest tonight is actually Evan Granger from Gonehunting with History. I'm sure people have seen his videos, his page, and I included a number of links in the promo. Great guy to talk to, very passionate about the hobby. Always, I mean, it seems like about any time you try to get a hold of him, if it's fair weather, he's out there digging. And he's out there, he's selling coils, selling detectors and stuff with Big Boys Hobbies. I've dealt with him on that end too. I had ordered the Coil Tech 10x5 from him. Just super, super fast shipping. But he has had the opportunity to get out and work with this new Makro Racer that people have been talking about. It could be a handy asset in the field for those hunters who may be hard of hearing, deaf, just a form of hearing impairment, because of the fact that they've got the vibrating handle, which, as far as I know, has only really been done before by the add-on of the vibraphone accessory, or here within the last couple of years, I guess the Nocta Force Core also has the vibrating handle. So let's get Evan in here and see what's been going on with you. How's it going, Evan?
Hey, Josh. Well, today it rained, so when you called, I wasn't hunting for the first time. I think every time that you called me, I've been either in a plug or swinging the coil one, so you actually got my full attention this time.
or sick here lately, too, which you sound much better.
I was so sick. Matter of fact, when last Friday night, Detect America, we did a quick deal on the macro, and I was still kind of feeling the effects of the flu.
Right.
Some people say, well, I had the flu. Well, I really had the flu. This was what they call influenza B, so I was pretty much, I was considered contagious.
Yeah, you were done.
I was done.
Yeah, that's the kind of flu where you're laying in bed and somebody walks in and says, this guy needs exercised here. We need a priest. He's convulsing and sweating and everything like that.
I had to wear a mask for a couple of days. It was quite embarrassing. driving. We headed south for the spring break for the kids this week, and I had to wear a mask in the car. And every time we passed somebody, they would kind of inch their car over, like, wonder what he's got.
Right, give you a weird look or something.
Yeah, it's just a ride from Africa.
Yeah, no joke.
Right, there you go. You just never know. Man, that's something else. And you could tell, too, you were not feeling well at all over the weekend.
Well, the video that I shot for the racer, the box opening and showing some of the settings and stuff, I was extremely sick when I did that, and I needed to get the video out, and if the sun was shining, it wasn't really that windy, so I thought, well, I'll risk it, and went ahead and got the video finished. But I was not doing well in the video either, so I don't know if it showed, but I was feeling pretty ill.
Right, figured you'd get out there while you could and do it.
Yeah. Because I know there's a lot of people wanting to know about this machine, and I've seen other videos on it, and the more information, the better. And since the machine was sent to me to test, I wanted to make sure that, the guys that tune in to, Gonehunting for history and everything got the information that I had. And I felt like I needed to get it out. So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Certainly nothing wrong with that. All right.
Well, what happened to Josh? Did he just... You're all right,
I think he just unplugged his mic.
You didn't fall out of the chair there, did you, buddy?
No,
okay.
No.
Just checking on you. It's co-host that's just got to check on you, brother. Make sure you're okay.
Right.
You never know what's going to happen on this show. This is, expect the unexpected. That's what's badass about it. Did I just say that? I did. About this show.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me ask you something. I'm just going to go right into this Makro Racer for a second.
Sure.
All right.
When you were using it, and for the first time, and that handle went off on vibrate, how close were you to the electric fence? Did you actually know it was the handle, or did that?
Oh, I could. I mean, when I first turned it on, first thing I did was I put the vibration at 5, and I have a pair of Sunray GoPros, which has a limiter switch. So I just turned them off where I couldn't hear the machine, and I swung it for a little bit. And of course, I'm not hard of hearing, and I'm not deaf, so my sensitivity to the vibration is I'm not gonna be able to. I'm not tuned into that yet, like others that may have a hearing impairment or something. But I did notice it, and when I first turned it on, I didn't have any discrimination or anything. So everything that I swung over that was metal, I was hearing it, or I was feeling it. Right. So after I did that for about 10-15 minutes, I thought, that's pretty slick, and I turned my headset back on and went ahead and run the ID up where, it's what they consider discrimination, and I ran it to up past pull tabs where it was actually discriminating out, most of the trash. Might have lost a nickel or some jewelry or something, but I wanted to see if it would hit only on the high tones, and I could feel that, and it did. So if you're just wanting to hear coins, or if you're just wanting to hear the high tones, you can, or feel them. I keep saying hear, but if you want those to register in the grip, you can run your discrimination up. Now, it doesn't work in all metal, and I didn't check beach, but like in the 2-tone and 3-tone, if you run that ID up past, most trash and iron and stuff, it will only hit, or it'll only vibrate on those. So that helps. I mean, I wasn't expecting that, to be honest with you.
Right, so it does work like in hand with the discriminator.
Right.
That's good to know.
And I also noticed that the further And again, I'm not hearing impaired or deaf, so I'm not going to be in tune to vibration. Someone say that is, but I did notice that the further the target was away from the pole, the less the vibration it was. It wasn't just a solid, hard hitting wouldn't vibrate hard on everything. It was depending on a variation of how far the target was away from the pole, or how strong a signal it was. How strong a vibration I would feel.
Right. So the vibration is variable based on the target signal strength.
Right. It's not just just a gimmick. And honestly, I thought that's what it was going to be at first. Was just a gimmick. Say how we got vibration in the handle, yada yada yada.
Oh yeah, look at the bells and whistles we have.
Yeah, and that's something all companies do. We have this, we have that. Well, and I thought this was what the vibration was going to be on there for, and surprisingly, it wasn't. It was something that can be used to do. And I actually hunted about probably. Well, I'll put it this way: it was an hour and a half on my GoPro, and I hunted that whole hour and a half with the speakers off. And I dug a couple of weeks since, so I felt pretty good about myself.
There you go. Right. There you go.
I was able to locate the target. Now, when it got in some trash or something, and I did run the discrimination down, because if you've been hunting very long or you're a relic hunter, discrimination's, our worst enemy.
Less is best.
Yeah. And so I got to where I did run the discriminator back up where I was able to, feel only good targets, and I was able to dig some. So it was, I was impressed with that.
Right. Well, certainly nothing wrong with that.
Well, now it's like you were saying earlier, all these new machines that's coming out, it's about, they want to have some kind of something the other ones don't.
Yeah,
it's such a competitive deal that we have going. But you know what the main thing is right now is because of the time we're in. 20 years ago, or even 5 to 10 years ago, some of that stuff mattered. But what matters right now is the depth. Because as time goes by, the surface items are gone. And everybody's wanting that extra inch, 2, 3 inches to get down there. So, that's what impressed me with the Deus, with that 11-inch call. I was shocked at some of the stuff I was finding and how deep it was. How is this machine?
Well, but not only are we looking for depth, we're looking for more finite processor speed and discrimination as well. Because
recovery speed.
Yeah, exactly.
Separation.
Because
you say the Deus. I mean, there's hardly anything I've used, and I'll be honest with you guys, I've used a lot of machines, and I've not seen anything separate as well as the Deus does. And moving over into the Racer, I've seen a few videos. I've had people send them to me and say, "Hey, would you test this? Would you look and see if the Racer's this fast?" People are comparing it to the Deus, and no, it's not the Deus. The Deus is a totally different machine. That's a advanced machine where you can set this thing to go whatever you want to do. Whether it's hunting in trash or hunting in a field or hunting in town, whatever. Well, the Racer is fast. I will say that. It does have a very quick recovery speed. Now, I don't have a video on it, but even today while it was raining, I was out. We've got a kind of a covered area that's got some ground under it, and I did this test again, and I put some paper clips down. I put some rusty nails down, and I would discriminate all of those out, and I even put a silver dime in beneath some of this trash, and this Racer is picking this up. Now, one thing I will say about the Racer that a lot of people may not know, and they may have seen this and had questions about it, is the sensitivity on it. It's not like say your AT Gold, or it's not like your 705 where to get the the best benefits is having the sensitivity maxed or close to max. On AT Gold you want at least one below or maxed, or the 705 you want it up in the 80s or 90s or whatever. With the macro, if you're hunting in trash, there's no need to have that sensitivity that high.
Right.
The factory default is 70, and when I was hunting the sidewalk right-of-ways and the nail beds over by there's an old place that I hunted here in Atoka, and I had the sensitivity at 60, 62, and I was doing just fine. And the reason I say that is the macro is so sensitive that if you have it maxed and you're hunting surface, you're hunting a trashy environment where targets are under, say 4 inches. If they're on the surface, your machine's going to overload. So there's no need to have it up in the 90s on your game. Run it in the 60s and you shouldn't have any problems. It will overload on coins if they're on the surface, if you've got the sensitivity too high, or the gain, what they call it on the macro. So if you're field hunting, turn that dude up, ground balance it, whether you use tracking or you use manual ground balance, which I use manual ground balance just about on every machine that has it. I do. And I ran the sensitivity in the 90s, but just because in the field you're not going to have a lot of surface trash. Well, you might in your area, but here it's most of the targets are 5 inches to 15 inches.
Right. I got not to interrupt you. Sorry about that. I watched the chat. I'm echoing off somebody here, but not to ignore the chat here. I see some things popping up like, for instance, there's 2 packages I see you get with this. You can get the Pro Pack and the stock, I guess is what it would be called. Right. And I guess the Pro Pack would have 2 coils in them. But I guess the question is on both, whichever the machine itself, is the LED light, it's all on there, the stock machine. Right. Because when I was watching you, it even pointed towards the coil.
Right. The LED light is that's part of the machine. The only difference between the Pro Pack and the standard pack is the Pro Pack will come with an extra coil, which is a little trash coil. It looks like a hockey puck.
Sniper,
5-inch coil, whatever you want to call it. It comes with a screen protector it's actually the control unit is covered with a plastic.
The rain resistant.
Right, the rain and dust cover for the battery box as well as the display.
Right. You've got 2 different ones. Yeah, you've got one for the control box and one for the battery. And then I think you get a T-shirt and a hat.
Oh, wow.
And a battery charger. The one thing about the Pro Pack is if you do get the Pro model, the battery charger, you will have to get you use them for your cell phone. I mean, I can't show you on the radio, but just a USB
like a micro USB cable.
Right. Well, you don't need the cable. You'll just need the charger part of it, just the part that plugs in the wall. Because what they sent me, now this may be different from what the public gets, but what they sent me was just a Euro model. So I had to use the USB cable that came with it.
Right, and you're going, this won't work.
Well, the way you have to look at this machine is really, you have to categorize it for what it is. I mean, if you're going to put it up against one of the, GPXs of the world, the Deuses and stuff like that, then you're not being fair to what it is.
No, you're not.
Right, because this is a machine in its own, it's not in the same price range as the Deus or the GPX.
That's what I was getting at. You're looking at $650 for this machine, and that's just your stock. I think it's a $200 extra for the Pro Pack. But I mean, then you got your AT series, which I'm fond of. I love the AT Pro. I love the AT Gold. Obviously, I love the Deus, but let's exclude that because that's another level. But there's, Fisher even comes out with, you know, some of those machines. So you really just have to do your homework. If you're an entry level, not everybody can go out and just go out and spend $2,000 on a machine. I mean, let's be real. You can't just go out and drop all this kind of money. You know, if you want to get into the hobby, then, and you're looking for something in that price range, those are the machines you do your homework on. You know, if you're lucky enough, some of your buddies may have one. Go out and, you know, try it out, use it, and then you make your decisions, because that is in a group. They're with all of those machines.
Right. I consider, to me, it would be considered a mid-range detector for me. You know, you got your entry-level machines, you know, your Ace 250s, your F2s, your Eurotechs, your now the new Mind Labs that are coming. And you got your mid-ranges, your Xterra series, your AT series, your some of your like your F5, your F70, and Pisher. And I think a Racer neatly fits in that category of a mid-range detector that you can go out and find some really good stuff with it. I mean, my first target with the Racer was a statehood ring from Oklahoma. Oklahoma became a state in 1907. These rings are usually 1907 to 1913. And my second target was, I think, I want to say a 1906 or a 1905 Indian head penny. So, I mean,
nice.
The machine.
Definitely, you were doing well.
Well, I mean, a lot of people expect, oh, Evan found, you know, he found a Indian head with this machine. I can go out and find Indian heads. Well, yeah, you can if you're hunting in the right spot. It's all about your location. I mean, if you're going to go spend $600 for a Racer or $600 for an AT Pro or $2,000 for a CTX or whatever, you need to make sure that you're going to do the research to put yourself on a place to hunt that's going to be capable of finding that stuff. And don't think the machine is bad when you're not finding anything because you're not in the right spot or you're not hunting the right area.
Right.
So well, even at that, you've still got to get the coil over the target.
Right.
True that, man. Like last week, we had a question, and these are good because we all know the Deus is made in France. I've done some work on this razor. I don't know exactly where it's made, if it's U.S. made or not. But if we do have an issue with that machine, I believe Mr. Zag here in the chat was asking if it was serviced in the USA, because that is a big deal. When you go shipping this somewhere, you don't want it to come back in 2 or 3 weeks. You know, you want that machine. You're ready to hunt, man. It's been winter time. Unfortunately, there's an issue. Let's send this off, and maybe in 3 days I can get my machine back.
Right. That's not going to be a problem. The same people that service the Deus, I think you had him on last week, Mo.
Yeah, Mo DePinto.
Yes.
Mo is awesome. I've dealt with Mo quite a bit. Being with Big Boys Hobbies, they'll also service the Makro Pointer, and so issues of, I've got to send it back to Turkey. No, you don't. Our service will be through our distributor here in the U.S. So rest assured, you're not going to wait 10 weeks and worry about customs and all that crap. That ain't going to happen. Your service will be here in the U.S.
And if Mo's involved with it, we heard from him last week, customer service and turnaround are very big priorities for him.
Very big priorities with Daniel and Michael at metaldetector.com. They're great guys. They're bringing new technology from overseas over here, and I'm happy to be working with them. So
right.
Awesome.
Good.
Now, when you pulled this detector out of the box and started putting it together and everything, did you have any initial impressions or maybe misconceptions? You know, this thing feels awful light, or were you thinking off the bat, just from what you had read, that it was going to be everything it was cracked up to be? Or have you since found out that you were pleasantly surprised with more performance than you thought you were going to get?
I was I was interested in the machine when I first heard about it. I wasn't so much worried about the light on it or the backlit display. I was more interested in user friendliness. I wouldn't recommend this to a first-time user. None of the mid-range detectors I would. Maybe the AT Pro. But I wouldn't recommend this to a first-time user. You need to have some swing time because it is a sensitive machine. You do need to be able to adjust and when you go from one scenario to the other. When I did open the box, first impression I was like, I've opened a ton of detector boxes when they first come out. It was a little different when I first opened it. I wasn't expecting all there was all kinds of paperwork and showing this and that, and I was kind of impressed. Putting the machine together, it was a little bit different. I'm kind of used to ATs, Watts, some of the lower end mine labs and stuff like that, and it was a little different. Didn't take me long to figure it out. The couplers are the same as far as the coil coupler going to the back of the unit.
Right.
Battery compartment. It uses 4 AA batteries. It was just a little bit different. I mean, it came from Turkey, so it's going to have. They're not so much copying everybody over here like say the other companies are. So I mean, it was a little different.
Well, all of your machines are going to have some of the same stuff. I mean, that's what makes them work. But when I look at the base of this thing, and I'm looking at it, it's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, You look over to the left. I mean, it tells you right there what's at your disposal, your gain threshold. It's all right there. So, and then you look over to the right, and I like the ground balance. It kind of reminds me, in a way, the dais on the right-hand side has the ground mineralization. It's going to give you a reading about, how hot your ground is. But under it, it actually has a graph to tell you how much mineralization is in the soil. That's kind of unique. I haven't seen that. That's pretty neat.
That was something that impressed me was the magnetic ground, the mineralization, having all of those menus. And I brought this up in the video. Most machines, you have to go a certain direction. You're going to go down, 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 down. If you miss that particular menu, you have to cycle all the way through it, go back through it again. This thing, you can go up or down, you can go left or right, and I like that. I like being able to, if I miss a menu, I don't have to cycle through 20 different menus to go back to it. I can just go right. I can turn around and go back the other direction.
Right. Well, that pie graph there on the mineralization, if you go to Virginia, it's just going to be black.
Yeah.
There's going to be one solid color probably.
Yeah,
but,
it's definitely going to be black. They actually could have made it red so it would kind of match the soil, but black's fine. And
don't they get you, though? Everybody wants to say Virginia. Believe it or not, folks, Virginia is not the only state with mineralized soil. There's places in Kansas. Yeah, there's places in Missouri. There's places that are here in Alabama that I just hunted that I don't care what pinpoint you had. It was just pop, 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 it was everywhere.
Well,
you get into that hot ground.
Yeah, there's 2 places in Kansas that we hunt regularly, and the ground's kind of red. It's kind of a clay gumbo, and I'll put it this way: the AT Go ground balance is at 92. That's hot. I mean, for me, that's extremely hot for here.
It is.
There's a place out west of where I'm from that's full of salt. I mean, it's high salt mineralization. I mean, you're going from red clay iron mineralization to salt. I mean, and people are like, well, where in the world in Oklahoma would you get salt? But it's I can't remember what it's called, but there's a salt lake out there, and it's dry as a bone, and you can go out there and dig crystals and stuff. Well, there's also World War II or military. You can find bullets and stuff out there as long as you clear it with the game rangers and all. But I mean, it's a good place to test your beach machines, which I didn't get a chance to take the Racer out there, but I did take one of the PI machines out there and messed around with it. So it's not all in just Virginia or the East Coast. I mean, there's hot, salt water and everything all over. You just got to that graph will probably help you out. And I brought it up in the video. If that graph is black or 90% full, don't expect to get 12, 13, 14 inches with it, because you're probably not going to get it in a VLF.
Well, you dig your, just pop 3 inches off the ground and then go after it again till you get closer to it. That's all you can do, just pop the cap off and keep going down. If you get the original signal, it's there somewhere, just go get it.
Exactly.
Just dig it all, baby.
Now, how is this machine as far as performance in the terms of depth for you?
I took this to I've got a test garden here in Etoka where I'm at right now. I've had for 20 years. It did well. Okay. I'm not going to lie, I wasn't expecting it to hit some of the deeper targets that some of my other machines hit, but it did. My Mercury Dime, I've got a Mercury Dime with a square nail, and it's at, 20 years ago it was probably around 10 inches, and I heard it just fine. Now, I didn't get a target ID, but I did get a tone, so I was able to, I know it's there.
Right.
So,
and for many of us, tone matters more than the ID anyway.
I'm not so much on ID. Now, I will say this, the macro, the target numbers were spot on. I mean, if it's anything under, say, 8 inches, if it says 84, 84, 84, 84, or, usually doesn't jump if it's a good conductive target. It won't. Now, if there's trash around it, yeah, you're going to get it. But if if you're out in a field and you get a solid 84, you better get ready, because it's going to be a good target. I mean, it doesn't jump around as much.
That's good. It's like Mr. Bill's asking here about the VDI, how accurate that is, which you were saying the numbers are spot on compared to the AT Pro per se. Because we all know, a lot of buttons, at least on my AT Pro, can be anywhere. Of course, it depends on the ground, but on average, 72,
right.
For example, would be a good coat button number.
Yeah. I've had them hit as low as 52, so I'm in.
Right. But overall, let's say you're on the Racer. How's the number scale compared to the AT Pro?
Really close. Matter of fact, now I hunt with the AT Gold, so my numbers are a little bit different, a little bit lower. But let's compare it to, say, the 70, the Exterior 70, which is now the 705. They're pretty close. I mean, anything with 100 number ID, it's going to be pretty much about the same.
Right.
So basically,
if
someone was coming to this machine, say from the 70 or from the AT Pro or Gold, there may not be much of an acclimation time to it. They're already somewhat in the ballpark with knowing the numbers from the previous machine.
Number-wise, no. The technology is a little bit different. Not quite. I mean, I still need to hunt with the machine a lot more. But
right.
It's pretty comparable. I mean, as far as the numbers are about the same, but I
tell you what I like about the machine and the makers of this machine is they keep the guys and gals within that price range. They think about this because, like I said before, not everybody goes out and spends $2,000-$3,000 on machines, but you don't want to not enjoy your hobby. You don't want to go out and not be, left out of certain areas because, you don't think your machine is as good as some of them, because that's just not true. I mean, I've used those Garretts, and an AT Pro, you can get one of those for $595 now. And
Right.
man, that thing, I can tell you, Swansea can tell you, anybody that uses one, Evan, I mean, that's a bad boy. That machine is a relic and a coin machine.
2684, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hello, who do we have?
Yes, this is Robert.
Oh, how's it going?
Not bad. How y'all doing tonight?
All right.
Good.
Well, I'm enjoying your show, but I've got a few questions.
Okay.
You know, a lot of us out there are, you know, relic hunters that it started at the beginning. And all these new detectors are coming out with the meters, and you have to know what number it is and programming. What's the advantage of that over somebody's ear?
Good question.
Me personally,
Sorry.
for me personally, really not much. Not that much to me. I like the tones, and if I hear the good tone, I'm going to go after the target anyway. I guess, you know, most of the machines now are coming out with those extras. You know, I'm just going to have to admit, for me, just not much.
Okay. Evan?
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, do you have anything to add to that, Evan?
Well, can you throw the question at me again? I'm sorry, I was answering somebody in the chat.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The question was out, what's the difference between reading a meter and using your ears to find artifacts?
Well, I've been hunting for 30 years, man. And when I first started out, there wasn't any meters other than a needle.
When I started, the only meter was for the battery test.
Right.
There you go. Yeah, and I don't rely heavily on the target ID numbers. Now, I will sometimes, but my ears is what repeatability and tone, consistency when I'm swinging over the target. That's kind of like Kenny. That's what I rely on mostly is the tones, and most of the targets that I'm looking for are past 8 inches, and most target ID machines don't do that well past that range. So I'm more relying on the tone. I'm more relying on, is this repeating every time that I swing over it, or is there a chirp in there next to that iron that I'm hearing the grunt from? So, target IDs are nice. If you're a park hunter,
well, I think a lot of people become reliant on that, as opposed to technique is everything in relic hunting. You can have two people with the same experience, with the same metal detector, and if somebody doesn't kick off a log, or somebody doesn't move a pine cone, they're going to miss a good relic.
That's
and
right.
It was the same thing with people relying on, a visual instead of something that you're going to hear. When you've heard more than 2 or 3 targets in a lifetime, it can be a disadvantage.
Exactly.
Right.
And to add to that, I think the displays, the bells, whistles, frills, that all just kind of comes along with the technology. And I'm big on telling people, if you put too much faith in the VDIs, you're selling yourself so short, it's not even funny. Audio wins out over VDIs any time.
Because
Now,
if I
does
get
that-
a good tone, and that VDI, that number's telling me it's a 20, I don't care what that thing says. If I'm getting a good tone, I'm digging it.
Now, does that mean that I don't use a screen at all? Well, occasionally I may check it just as a reference. But my primary factor is the audio. Because no matter what detector you've got, no matter what discrimination you're using, you have to be the final judge, and that comes from your ears, your gut instinct, and your experience in the field.
Right.
I agree. I agree 100%. And that's what scares me with a lot of the newcomers to our hobby, that they're neglecting, that inner voice, that inner, consciousness that has worked for me for a very long time, and that I've been very successful.
Yeah.
Right.
I
mean, as time goes,
nail right on the head.
Yeah, as time goes, the newcomers that are coming in now, they don't know about the older machines. A lot of them don't. I mean, they're going from what's going on now.
Exactly.
And they just miss the whole point.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, we're in a let's Google it kind of society where they want information. I mean, they're wanting all the information right here, right now, as fast as I can get it, and
and you know what? That's to the detriment of us all as relic hunters.
Right.
Because when I started out, it wasn't instantaneous. You know what somebody down the block does. When I was hunting with Tom Dickey in the 70s, I knew him and Beverly DeBose and 4 or 5 other guys, and it took, a month before I found out what they were finding. And it took a month to find out, what techniques they were using, what kind of metal detectors they were using. You mean 10 pointers, really? I mean, my forefinger's a 10 pointer.
Right.
Right now, with the advent of social media, you go out and make a find, and half the neighborhood knows 2.5 minutes later.
Half the neighborhood, more like half the country.
and I think a lot of that is good. I think a lot of that is good for the hobby. But misinformation, unfortunately, can be a burn in the saddle.
It can. You know how to solve a lot of that problem, Robert, is the ones that makes the videos, such as myself and stuff, it's up to us to kind of go, listen, guys, don't forget to listen to your tones. Don't forget to go watch some videos of some guys that's been doing this for a half a century or 30 years, 40 years. Don't, go ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Just throw the manual down and go. Right. Go talk to somebody that knows what they're talking about.
That's right.
And I've got a YouTube channel too, and like I said, I started in the 1971, and it's a great hobby. I think it's great that new people are coming in and joining the ranks and becoming part of the saving history part of our lives, and I just want everybody to get along.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Our hobby has a way of being a double-edged sword with us, and it really is up to us to police ourselves in a sense, because the actions of one affect many.
Exactly.
And that's why it is up to us, those who are long in the tooth, so to speak, to help guide the newcomers along, provide that information in our videos, in our posts on the internet, in the radio shows and stuff like that, to help show them the light and provide the proper information to them.
Well, these machines are not going to tell you that iron's probably masking a dragoon or something. It's not going to tell you that. You're going to have to go dig the iron and move it. Go see what's masking. A lot of the newcomers don't know that. They hear it's iron, they move on to the next one.
Right.
Well, do you know what? Do any of y'all know what the best discriminator is?
Yourself.
No, a shovel.
Well, yeah, because ultimately the only way you're going to know for sure is to dig it.
You know what? I think Carl von Mueller said that in one of his books. The best discriminator was the shovel.
It's the shovel, because if you go and you dig every signal, granted, you're going to dig a lot of junk, but digging that junk will make you realize what you're hearing, what you're digging, and what you need to look for.
Absolutely.
Not to mention it gets that stuff out of the way in case some of those good targets are masked.
Right, and carry everything out of the woods.
On top of that, Robert, there's a lot of iron relics out there.
Yeah.
Oh, most definitely. And tossing them up against a tree doesn't help anybody any.
No.
Well, look, I'll let y'all go. I've enjoyed the show very much. I think you're doing a very good service to relic hunters. And my full name is Robert Bourne. I've been doing this a long time, and I appreciate your time.
All right, we'll see you, Robert.
Y'all take care.
You too.
Take care.
Mr. Kevin Strahan.
How are all three of you guys doing tonight?
We're all right.
We're doing great, man. You?
Well, for Mr. Robert, if he's still listening, go on Beyond Sight and Sound and put your YouTube page on there so we can see some of your videos.
Absolutely.
It's Moultrie Tavern 1862, I believe. That's exactly what it is.
It is.
Moultrie Tavern 1862. He's got some great videos on there. Go watch them.
Which, the listeners don't see it. But for you guys that are on video with me right now, you saw me kind of nodding my head. Once that call come through, just little things I was hearing, I was putting two to two and together, and I'm going, I'm pretty sure I know who we've got on the phone here. This, I do believe, is Mr. Bourne.
Oh, I knew who it was when he first talked. I watched his videos. I knew who it was. But the guy's highly knowledgeable.
Right.
He has dug a lot of stuff. Go watch his videos. And I'll be the first one to tell you, we can all learn by the veterans. I mean, I learn something new every time. There's a guy here in the town that I'm in that's he's been digging for, I don't know, 50 something years. And, sometimes I just go in there and sit down, have a cup of coffee and talk to him when it's raining, just to try to learn something else, because you find stuff, you're not sure what it is. You look stuff up on books. You know what? Some of them books may have it wrong. Go out there and just go ask, because some of these guys may have dug 30 of them.
Right. And there are cases where the history that we recover, the history that we go out and dig and document and preserve, actually rewrites the books.
Right.
Well, did you have anything else, Kevin?
Yeah, I got a couple questions that I'm gonna hop off here.
Okay.
I'm gonna thank Evan for being on the show, of course.
Hey, bud.
But two questions. How does the macro? How does it feel, weight-wise, balance-wise, and the vibrations? Can you make them harder and softer, or are they all the same? Can you make them long, short? Just answer those two questions. I'm gonna get off here so someone else can call.
All right.
It's a little bit. It's about the same weight as the AT Pro, maybe a little bit lighter. I was kind of surprised at how light it actually was. As far as the vibration goes, you can set the vibration from 1 to 5. Me being not hearing impaired, not deaf, I had to have it on 5 so I could feel it. When you went over a target, say an 8-inch target, you could just barely feel it. When you went over a target that was at 1 inch, it was pretty strong. Anytime it relates directly with how long the tone is in the headphones. So if you're on a narrow target, say at 5 inches, say it's a dime at 5 inches, that's how long the vibration was that narrow sound that you hear in the headphones. That's how long the vibration was. It was directly corresponded with how long the tone was in the headphones.
Right, so if you just got a chirp, it was going to be a really quick vibration.
Sure. Yeah. It has nothing to do with the numbers. It was all with what was coming through the headset. What you had, the discrimination set at it. Anything above your discrimination set, which is, and it's not called discrimination, it's called, I think it was ID. My mind just went blank. But whatever that discrimination was set at, anything above that is what you were going to hear, what you were going to feel. It didn't sound any different for iron or silver dime if the discrimination was wide open. If you had it set at, say, 50, anything above 50, you're going to feel it.
Right.
So,
and the vibration is proportional to target proximity as well, the way it sounds.
Exactly.
Much like with your pro pointers, your pro fines, stuff like that.
Right. Now, I didn't mess with it at setting 2 or setting 3. I put it on setting 5. I wanted the strongest so I could feel it. I'm not going to be sensitive to that vibration like someone say that's hearing impaired or deaf.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Well, man. You know what? I love having these shows with these different machines. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like, I'm a fisherman too. I love to fish, and I go and I look at these different rods, these different reels and stuff, and what fits me better with crappie versus this and that. And it's no different with my hobby. And I love preserving this history, and I go to the extremes to do it. That's just what I do. And when I listen to this stuff, man, it just drives me crazy. It makes me want to go right now.
I can just see it now. As soon as you said I go through the extremes to do it, Evan's thinking back to before the show when we were talking about the snakes.
Bring them on, man. It doesn't matter if they strike the coil, whatever.
Snakes, you can have your snakes. I don't do snakes at all.
No, listen, it's like during the fall when yes, and this is hard to believe, Dirt Bandit actually kind of hangs the metal detector up a little bit, and then I head for the gin thing through September, October, and November, and that puts me right in the middle of just about everything that bites, and I just like it.
I mean, they don't bother me. As long as I can hear them or see them, they're fine. But man, I'm not gonna go on my way to love on one like you do. I just
can't. You're kind of going. They can do their own thing away from me.
They're put on this earth to eat the and crawl on the ground. They're not here for Evan's enjoyment at all.
There you go.
Not in the contract.
Run if they're too close.
Right.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's been very informative on this machine. I saw bits and pieces of it advertised here and there, so I went and watched some video. Of course, with YouTube nowadays, you can go find anything you want. Pulled it up. It was real quick, and Evan, man, you'll be proud, man. The first video popped up was yours. And,
cool.
Right. So I watched you unbox it, and I believe earlier, listen, the listeners mean a lot, and I got to lay this out here. I've been holding it off on it, but Evan, we're going to know if you send somebody something and it's got a can of Lysol in the box, we're going to know you were sick when you sent it. So,
man, I'll tell you what, man, I've been sick before, and I'll be honest with you, that was the sickest. And what stuck so bad about that is I got the Makro Racer, I got the Garrett Pro Pointer AT, I had the White's MXT. They all came at the same time, and I was so sick, I could just barely open the box on one of them. Of course, right. I pulled that Pro Pointer AT out, and I played with it while I was laying in bed, and I was like, man, this is terrible. I couldn't even do anything.
Right.
So, when I did feel good enough, when I went out hunting the first time, I had the whole back of my trunk, everything in the back seat, all this new stuff, and I'm like, man, where am I going to have time to hunt with all this stuff?
I know.
Then you got Kenny calling you every day. He called me. Every time he called me, I'd be hunting. What was funny? He goes, what you doing, man? I was like, well, I'm digging. So
Yeah, and I'd go to get off the phone, you know, don't want to bug him while he's busy, and he's like, whoa, hold on, let's see what's coming out of the ground.
That's just force of habit.
Right. Hey, nothing wrong with that. Mr. Swansea, how's it going?
Not too bad. How you doing, Josh?
All right.
I got a question for Evan real quick. I just was curious about the Racer, and I do like the target separation and the pinpoint option on the AP Pro. I'm curious to see how the Racer compares to the two. Really, for me, it's the pinpoint. So I like to pinpoint minimally. I don't mind digging the hole. How well does it work on that new Racer?
The pinpoint does really well. There's a fat part of the coil that's about 2 inches in front of the where the shaft connects to it. It's the thickest part of the coil, and usually the pinpoint is dead on. I mean, I didn't show it in the videos because I do have some hunt footage that didn't make it to the box opening, because to be honest with you, I was so sick that you couldn't understand what I was saying anyway when I was digging. But I said several times that, man, it was spot on. The target or the pinpoint was spot on, and I'm not a heavy pinpoint button user. If it's a double D coil, I'm going to use a wiggle back. And right. I checked it several times, and man, it's right on. I mean, is it my favorite machine? No. I mean, because it's a brand new machine to me, and I haven't got to use it a lot, but it does have some. I mean, the pinpoint worked really well. The target IDs were just, man, they were right on. I mean, now if there was some iron next to it, of course, it's going to be off a little bit with any machine. But the separation you asked that, I checked that again today, and it does really well. There is a video out there that compares it to another machine, and I don't know if it's that good, but it was really good for me. I mean, I had some square nails, and I threw some real. If you don't know
what I'd like, what I'd like to see it do. Take a little small nugget of gold and put in there somewhere.
Oh yeah, that is a good point. How does it do on small
how it does
targets
with the gold?
Now,
that was actually brought up earlier in chat tonight too. Was asking how it does on small gold compared to a CTX or a Deus.
Okay, well, I can tell you this: the CTX doesn't do really well on small gold, just because it's an FBS. I haven't tested it on the Racer, but I do know the macro will hit really, really small. The macro pointer will hit really small gold. I do know that because I've tested it with some of the gold that we panned out of Comanche River. It hits on really small gold. I'm talking about really, really fine stuff. So as far as testing it on the Racer, I haven't done that yet, and I will when I get back to northern Oklahoma. I'll check that out.
Okay.
All right, you guys answered my question, and I appreciate that, Kenny and Josh, and it was nice having you on, Evan. But the other question is you need to really plug your YouTube channel and where you're at on Facebook. I do not have you on YouTube, which is strange enough. I have about 1,000 people on there. I'd like to be able to see where your videos are at.
On YouTube, it's you can Google Gonehunting for History, and it'll bring up my YouTube channel. On Facebook, unfortunately, we've had some issues. And so right now there's a Gonehunting for History group and a Gonehunting for History page. Now, the page is going to have updates from my hunts. I've got my cousin and several other people that are updating that information daily. If it's raining, you probably won't get a post, but if it's nice and sunny and I'm out hunting, there'll be something on there, whether it be a video or a picture of a find or just some general information or whatever.
There you go. You type in Gonehunting in Google and it comes up automatically to your page.
There you go.
There you go. I'm on Instagram too. If I'm the kind of guy that I kind of like Instagram because you don't have to. There's no Facebook drama. There's no junk on there. It's just guys posting their finds, from the field. Usually it's a Clyde shot, and that's my favorite. Seeing a silver rim or a button or something sticking out of the dirt, So Instagram, I'm on there too, is Gonehunting for History. So if you're on that and you post a lot, I'll definitely be looking. So
right.
Excellent. I appreciate it, guys. Great show, and it was nice talking to you, and have a good night, everybody.
All right.
We'll
See you, Swans. Well, I guess we've still got a few minutes here. Why don't you take some time and discuss your impressions of the Garrett AT Pro Pointer?
Okay, I've told this to several people. If you were around, now when I first started hunting, we didn't have pinpointers. We just dug it all. Machines really didn't have discriminations, and ones that did, if you turned the discrimination on, you got maybe 2 inches in the ground. I mean, it was dig it all. And when I can remember when the Pro Pointer, when Garrett first brought the Pro Pointer out, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think there was another one out. Maybe the White's Bullseye, maybe.
Right.
I can't remember. It's been so long, but I can remember when the Pro Pointer first come out. Dude, it was a game changer.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It had more depth than the Bullseye, and very rigidly built, it seemed.
I mean, there was nothing like it. It was like getting the first metal detector ever. I mean, it was so much different. I mean, I'd never used one. I didn't realize how well it could help, especially in town where you got to be careful when you dig a target or in a park or whatever. I'm not a park hunter, but I do hunt in town.
Or even how much time it actually saves in the field because of the speed of recovery.
I mean, your target recovery time was almost 80% better. I mean, if you learn to use it right.
Absolutely.
And I can remember how big a game changer it was for people that did get them. There's still a lot of people that don't use a pinpointer. And
right.
That's fine. I don't have a lot of time to hunt. I mean, I am hunting all the time, but when I do hunt, I want to minimize the time that I'm digging. So
and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to spend a lot of time digging, looking for a target when I can turn a pinpointer on and there it is. And some people say, well, you need to learn how to pinpoint. Well, yeah, you're probably right. But, a pinpointer helps me get to a target faster.
Right, which means more time in the field for more finds.
Right.
And listen, I'm out in the field when it's 105, and guess what? I want to find it and move on.
Tell me about it. I mean, when we dug those Dragoon buttons a few years ago, it was 110 degrees, and I promise you the Oklahoma humidity felt like it was 350%.
Oh,
it was
absolutely.
I mean, it's like digging just on the other side of hell, honestly. I mean, it's hot. And anyway, the pinpointer, I can remember when it first came out, it was such a game changer. And now that I've had the Pro Pointer AT, I think they've done it again. I honestly think Garrett has, there's other waterproof pinpointers out there. I'm not knocking the Makro. I'm not knocking, the TRX or any of those other ones,
Right.
That kind of have a waterproof capability or they're dustproof or whatever. But the Garrett, yes, they've had some issues with the Pro Pointer in the last year, 2 years, but that's all gone, I think. The one I have, I've not had it false on anything. Even in Kansas, it didn't false. It didn't false on the ground. It did kind of tick a little bit with a couple of machines when they were at a certain frequency, but that's kind of normal. I mean,
I'm still on the good old long waiting list.
They are hard to get a hold of right
days and days ago, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Dude, I get this call every day, at least 5 times a day, and probably 15, 20 emails, because, I mean, we pre-ordered quite a few of them. And of course, I'm in close contact with Garrett, and what I've been told, and this makes perfect sense, this is a brand new, I mean, nothing about it is the same as the old one. The button's different. The insides are different.
Well, the cap's different. It's the reason I think the Boston issue occurred when the end cap was just a little thinner on, not the originals. If you'll notice, the very first originals didn't do that. Right. But when they made an adjustment to the end cap, that's when they started having problems.
Yeah.
And because, matter of fact, I went, and this is no kidding, I went and took an end cap that comes with the X-Pointer. When you get an X-Pointer, you get 4 end caps with it. Well, I rigged it on one of the Pro Pointers I had. It never falsed. It worked fine.
Well, that's good.
So, I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, this is what they've told me, and this is what I've been telling everybody that calls me. This is brand new, and before they go to mass producing and mass, shipping these things out, 200 and 300 at a time, they want to make sure that nothing is wrong with this thing, whether it be in manufacture, whether it be in the boxing, whether it be in shipping it to the distributors. They want to make sure they have all their ducks in a row before they do that. And people are like, well, come on. Well, would you rather have a lemon? Would you rather have something that's defective because something was missed, in the first couple of weeks of this thing coming out, or would you rather make sure that you're not going to have any problems? You're not, there's not a solder issue, or there's not a.
I tell you what, not just to get off subject, just a second. I'm always trying to stay tuned to the chat, to our listeners. If let's say we've got 2 racers hunting together, or kind of like the ATs do, do you have a frequency change on that to avoid that?
Yes.
But, Swansea would like that question. He didn't get to answer that, or get to ask that while he was in here. So just to clear that up, that would be another asset.
Right. You do have a frequency shift, and that was something. Now I hunted with the Makro pointer and the Racer together, and they didn't crosstalk. I didn't notice anything like that, but the Garrett did crosstalk with it a little, and all I had to do was hit the frequency shift. I think it's like 4 or 5 down. I believe it's right under tracking, where it's got 5 different channels. Now people say, oh, it's got 5 frequencies. No. You're looking at it the wrong way. It's not 5 different frequencies, or 5 separate frequencies where, one's good for gold, one's good for this. No, it's still around the 14 kilohertz or whatever. It's just a shift, just enough to get rid of some EMI or to combat, crosstalk from different machines.
Right.
Okay. So this thing, I imagine, with the way it handles the ground mineralization and stuff, how does it do with EMI? Since you brought that up, have you been in an area like that yet to see if it still runs fairly stable?
It does. It does have a little bit of an EMI issue, and I think it's just because it's so hot.
Okay.
Where I test my machine, first test my machines is to test EMI, and where I live is really, there's a lot of EMI there. There's power lines, there's a heater pump, and a cell tower box not too far.
Oh, so my.
If I walk outside and turn a machine on, I can tell whether or not it's going to be affected by EMI. And we'll say probably 8 out of the 10 detectors that I have right now, probably 8 of them have trouble in that area. Right. So the Racer was, it did pick up some EMI. I was able to shift over to channel 4, and it kind of quietened it down, but I could still hear the pulsing from the cell box. So, but these are close proximity. While I was in town hunting sidewalk right-of-ways, I had no EMI issues. Of course, I didn't have any out in the country or out in the field because there's nothing out there. But it will, if you're close to some tall power lines or what they call, not transformer lines, but I can't think of what they're called.
Just the power lines.
Yeah,
right, the high power lines. Real
thick transmission lines. You're going to hear it. Cell tower box did affect it. The heat pump or the air conditioner that sits outside your house, it did affect it when you got within about 20 foot of it. So it is a hot machine. So you're gonna get some of that.
Right. but it's
I believe
not
the
enough to
correct
necessarily
version
be
of
real
that would have.
problems.
Sorry about that, Josh.
Oh, that's okay. It's not enough to necessarily be a major issue, though.
No.
Okay.
I didn't notice. Not hunting in town where, 90% of, well, not 90%, probably about 60% of my hunting is sidewalk right-of-ways or old townhouses in the historic district where I live. I didn't see anything as far as EMI.
Okay. You said you had something, Kenny?
No, I was just, basically there it is. There's another machine within a price range for those that want to move on with their hobby. And I think it's great that there's competition out there, because that's what makes machines better. But just don't forget, learn the tones, folks. Yeah. If you can't learn the tones, it doesn't matter what it's got on it. It doesn't matter about the lights. It doesn't matter about the buttons. Nothing matters if you cannot learn the tones. So
that's right.
That's first and foremost rule number one.
Right. Mr. Chris Engel.
Hello, guys.
Mr. Brother Chris.
Mr. Kenny. Brother Kenny there. Yeah, great show tonight, Evan. I tell you, I haven't really seen much on the Makro, but just from listening, it sounds like it is a great machine for a mid-range person that wants to buy just like a mid-range machine. Wow. I didn't realize it had that many
features
to it.
Yeah. Well, and something that we really hadn't, we've talked about the vibration. The biggest thing that when I got this machine, when I heard about it, was, well, with the Beyond Sight and Sound, is because of, I hunt with several guys that can't hear, whether because they were in the war and, they lost their hearing, or they were artillery, they worked in artillery or whatever, they couldn't hear, they shot deer all their life, and because they didn't use hearing protection, they can't hear anything. And man, this vibration, yeah, it hits on everything, but at least it gets you to look down and check, well, should I, do I need to check this number? And that's what's good about having the perfect, the good target IDs on it. And yeah, we need to pay attention to tones, but this is kind of another facet, they're not going to be able to listen to tones, and that's where this vibration in the handle and the IDs being so close
right.
to.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what? That is true, and that would have been when Robert called in earlier. That would have been the only really true answer for that question he had. Was this machine, because they have made it to the point where when you do get that vibration, that number does come in handy at that point. If you cannot hear the tone. So yeah, right. there finally is a machine that helps that. Now the first one that if it vibrates twice as ferrous, one non-ferrous, that's the one that's going to get rich.
Right.
But anyway, that's great.
Yeah, it is. We were talking about tones a minute ago. I've got that Bliss Tool, the V5, and I've got 2 tones, no display. So you just got to basically listen to those tones. I know I just got the DAS and just finally got to use it, and talking to LA Gold, Brother Kenny, and Mr. Kevin, they strictly listen to those tones. Now, if they get a good high tone, they may glance over at the display, but like I say, with a Bliss Tool, it's kind of like dig it. It's just simple that, and
right.
that's where you're going to find the good stuff.
Well, most relic hunters, they use the Tesoros, and most of them don't have an ID, and they're great machines. I had a Vaquero. I've kicked myself 1,000 times for selling that machine.
Well,
great depth, light, and it was tones only.
Well, I got 2 old Whites machines. You had basically one tone, and that's all you had. And you can, if you listen close enough, there is a variance in those tones, but you got to listen.
That's right.
Yeah, there's a resonance on, if a target's a big target, it's going to resonate a little bit different. The tone's the same frequency or the same pitch, but it resonates different. I mean,
yeah, there's little nuances in the tone.
Yeah. You'll notice that on the dais. You may get a high tone, but if you'll listen to the resonance, how it resonates in the headphones, you can tell how big that target is. If you go over a chunky can, it'll give a whop sound. I don't know, that sounds stupid, but it'll whop. It makes it real weird sound. And you can tell, hey, that's a big target. I don't, do I want to dig it or do I not? What am I looking for?
Right.
Correct.
Well,
anyway,
Chris.
Yes.
We certainly appreciate the call.
Okay, thank you very much, guys, and you have a great show tonight.
All right.
Take care, Kenny.
We've got one more caller here we'll get in, and then we'll get on out of here. Go ahead, caller.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, I was wondering if it's the new machine, is it good for beginner metal detectors?
Honestly, honestly, I would not recommend this for a beginner hunter.
Okay.
Just because if you've got somebody there that's hunted, that's got some experience as far as target identification, target acquisition, target depth, digging and stuff like that, and they can help you and be over your shoulder constantly saying, this is how you swing over target, this is how you size a target in the ground, this is how you tell how deep it is.
Right.
And just going out there and swinging a coil, I mean, there's a lot more to it. I have so many people that buy machines and they get frustrated because they think, well, because I spent this much on the machine, I should be able to find something. And it's not. There's a lot more to metal detecting than just having a good machine or there's, you need to be in a good area. I don't recommend somebody to go hunt a park their first time.
No parks the first time? Not for 8-year-old boys or anything like that?
Oh, no. Honestly, the first place you need to hunt is your front yard.
Right.
Or your backyard.
Where there's young children. Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. Thank you very much.
No problem.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the call.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Well, anything else to add, guys?
Well, you know what? This has been great, and we appreciate all the listeners. I have one thing that I would like to say real quick. I'm going to make it short. Some of you are aware of a situation that my wife is going through right now with her mother. It's been posted. They have been activity and support on that. For those of you that have supported, my wife wanted me to be sure to say thank you. For those thoughts and prayers, we thank you. Man, there's some things going on right now we got to get solved, and we're actually going to put something up where we're going to have some what would you call it, Josh? Kind of like a drawing giveaway, kind of. I don't know how
a drawing to say thanks for those who have shown support.
Right. Raffle is not the word. Never use the word raffle.
Raffle.
Right. And but there'll be more on the Beyond Sight and Sound group page on that, guys. If you would check that out. But anyway, man, it's just I appreciate each and every one of you guys. And Josh, another great show, man. You're the bomb.
And we are even considering doing a short broadcast here in the very near future to discuss a little bit more of this situation with Krista's mother for those who are interested in following this topic.
Right.
Other than that, Evan, you want to let people know where to find you?
Absolutely. You can, there's several ways that you can find me. Instagram, pretty much anything. You can type in Gonehunting for History and you'll find me, whether it's on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, on Facebook. Now, we kind of had a situation. I no longer have a profile on Facebook. you know what? So what? It's been a lot quieter since then. But friends and family kind of built a Gone Hunting for History Facebook page. Now there is a group that I've got some good admins that are keeping that group going. It wasn't so much about me; it's more about people getting to hunt and going out and finding history. But the page, the Gone Hunting for History page, it's real easy to find. You can search it. They keep it updated with my information, whether it's a new video or posting a find or something's happened. Mind Lab releases this or Garrett releases that. There'll be that kind of information on there soon. I still work for Big Boys Hobbies. We still have. If you need to get in touch with me there, you can send a message to the Gone Hunting for History page, or you can give me a call at this is my personal number. You can call me at 580-775-5970, and I'll put it in the chat where people can see it. You can give me a call if you just want to talk shop or you want prices on a machine or whatever. Go ahead and give me a call, and even if I'm digging, Josh knows that, I'll answer the phone.
Oh yeah, and that's one great thing that I can say about you is, like when I contacted you about the coil, you took the time to talk to me about it. You had other things going on, but you still took the time to talk about it.
You know what's funny, Josh, is when I was on the phone with you, I dug a 1916 Mercury dime, and I remember that. I had to edit out your voice and my voice, but it'll be in the video. But if you watch that video when it comes out, it'll be on the AT Gold. Josh was on the phone with me when I dug that dime. So, but anyway,
that's hilarious.
It was a good time to hear him find it. A little disappointing it didn't have the mint mark, but
yeah, it was an S, but that's all right.
Yeah, definitely.
I can do several things at once, and metal detecting luckily is one of them. So
there you go. Well, for everyone else, we appreciate you tuning in, for all our longtime listeners as well as the newcoming listeners. And, thanks for dropping by. If you enjoyed the show, rate the channel, drop us a line if you'd like to be a guest on the show sometime. Check out Evan's videos, Gone Hunting for History on YouTube. Check out Kenny's videos, Kenny Moore on YouTube. And while you're there, hey, check out Ohio Metal Detecting. Other than that, it's time for us to go, folks. Thanks for dropping in, and tune in next week.
And dig it all.
Dig it all. Absolutely.